This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily mean that it's WPSL talking, but we're the ones that encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors because we want to think healthy. And it's time to do just that. It's time for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce and hosted by the one and only Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having an incredible morning. I am super excited to be here this morning because we have a very special guest. I am going to call her a friend, and even though we don't spend much time together outside the store, it's just one of those humans that when she's in the room with you, you feel loved, you feel cared for, and she's just an incredible human. And I follow her on Facebook, which kind of makes me feel like I'm even closer to her, seeing her wonderful family and all the amazing things that she's up to. So without further ado, this is my guest and friend, Theresa Noach. Good morning, Theresa.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for a beautiful introduction.
Well, thank you. So now I have to say what your official title will be for this morning's topic, and that is the Director of the New Dawn, D-O-N, correct?
That's right. It's an acronym for Daughters of Naomi.
I love that. Yeah. So yes, I always still tell people you're the director of Daughters of Naomi, but I love the New Dawn. It's kind of like new and cutting edge. I love that.
Thank you.
All right, so we last week the topic was so lengthy I had to skip the breath work. So we're going to do a little extra breath work. Theresa, do you do breath work?
Absolutely.
All right, so I knew the answer was going to be yes. I kind of
Yes.
just felt it. All right, so for any newbies, welcome to the show. I really appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. So breath work is super simple, especially here on the show. We're going to breathe out anything that doesn't feel right in our body, and then we're going to breathe in for a count of 5, only using our nose, folks, okay? No mouth breathing. For 5, hold for 5, and exhale for 5. And let's do 3 rounds. And Cliff, you look perplexed. What's going on? You can count to 5. I know you can.
Whenever it comes to doing the breath work, my sinuses clear right up.
Right? And it
Just
helps
in
you
time.
focus, brings
Yeah.
blood pressure down, lots of good stuff. So everyone, let's do it together.
Okay.
All right?
3
So let's
times 5.
exhale out.
Okay.
Yep.
And do we stop or we pause?
Well, yeah,
Just keep
today
going.
we're going to do a hold. Yeah, I've been switching
Okay.
up the breath work. Sometimes we're holding, sometimes we're not.
5 in.
Okay, so 5 in,
5.
hold, and 5 out.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Let it all out and begin through the nostrils. Inward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5. In. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Inward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. And slowly release. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can open your eyes now.
Thank you. Do you feel better, Theresa?
So good.
Yep.
That
So
blood pressure's
good.
down. So
Yep, I know.
Yeah.
It just helps you feel better. It really, there's a lot of my customers that when they're going to their annual doctor's appointment and they're nervous, like about their blood pressure, especially if they have white coat syndrome, I'm like, you know what, just stay in your car, plan to be there 10 minutes early, put some really good calming music on, and you just, do that breath work, and it'll just get you chilled out a little bit. So, Theresa, you wear many hats, and I honestly, I don't know where to start because all the things you do in life are absolutely incredible. But let's give us some background, like your family life, what brought you back to Fort Pierce, and just kind of what made this whole adventure with Daughters of Naomi, the New Dawn, begin.
Sure, I would love to. Gosh, all of our stories, we have so much that we could talk about. So I'm going to pick a spot, and I'm going to start in Jensen Beach, when I was in my early 20s, and after I had been really running from myself, running from a lot of pain, running from childhood trauma, running from really facing my own personal growth. But I tell you, the divine plan for our lives is just so beautiful when we see it unfold, and we oftentimes had no idea how it would unfold. And that's how this story started for me. I met my now husband at the Mulligan's in Jensen Beach. I was bartending, he was waiting tables, and I was hosting poetry gigs also in the evening. And so he was a writer, at the time, rapper. He was a performer in little clubs, and I was also a performer, karaoke bars, karaoke celebrity style status. And when we met, we had a lot of fun. We were very complementary personalities, and we still are to this day. But I wanted to get out of town. I was done with my past. I was done with the same old. So I wanted to get out of town. So I headed up to Vero Beach where he lived. Eventually, our life began to unfold. We had a baby a couple years later. I was living in Sebastian with him near his family. And a couple years after that, we had another baby. That's 2 baby girls. And my husband got into the car business. It was just more lucrative than the restaurant business. And I was a licensed massage therapist, but we found that it was more feasible for me to stay home with the little ones. And I also was very grateful to do so. It's really what I always wanted. And so he got into the car business, which ended up, after about a decade of being extremely lucrative, he moved up in the company that he worked for, and he's a very, very hard worker. He's got the best work ethic. I'm telling you, he has just got the best work ethic. And during that time, while he was steady working his career, I would always have my hands in something. But I was faced with the past still because of the anxiety that I had in my life, because of the inconsistency that I had in my life, because I would want to do things and want to accomplish things and just find that I was inconsistent and that I was frustrated and that I was just very unsettled. And so I sought help in church, and I started going to a local church here in Fort Pierce just because it was the only church I knew. So I would travel from Vero Beach. At this point, we're now living in Vero. And I would travel to go to this church. And I call it my hippie church. It really was the best church experience for me. Even though in childhood, I had a really difficult experience with church. But it was just an amazing community of people. And that is where I met Sandra George. So Sandra George is the founder of Daughters of Naomi, which is the organization that we now call the New Dawn. We're actually in the process of, rebranding. And I'm still very close with Sandra to this day. But I'll tell you what, when I was a hot mess, I call the church and it's just like, I don't know what my problem is, but I'm just all kinds of messed up and I need help and I don't know where to start. And this is before Daughters of Naomi. So Daughters of Naomi really started in 2002. And this is probably in 2001 or 2000 at this point. So I'm backing up a little bit, actually, to tell you about Sandra. And I called the church and I said, I need help. And she pulled up at my little house. Actually, it was a trailer on my parents' property. It was all I had, that and 2 jobs. And I just gotten out of a domestic violence situation that I really wanted to die. It was a dark, dark season. And so she came to my house and said, come on, let's go for a ride. And I jumped in her little drop top. She had a convertible, and we took a little ride, and the wind was blowing in our hair. And she says, girl, you're going to be okay. Aww. And, that has stuck with me. And even though she has offered so much wisdom over the years. And I have gleaned from her leadership. I have gleaned from her teachings. I have gleaned from her life. The one thing that I needed to hear in one of the darkest moments of my life is that it's going to be okay. And so what I have found, and I've kept that with me, because now as my life unfolds and women are brought into my life and they are, they cross paths with me for a reason. And I remember that sometimes it's just as simple as showing up, being present for someone, not having to have all of the answers, but assuring them that in this moment, with this breath, it's going to be okay.
That's right. And where we have the connection is when I met my husband. He has 2 siblings, and his sister Carrie, when I mentioned to her when I first met her that I had a business in Fort Pierce, she's like, "Oh, Fort Pierce." And I'm like, "Oh, where's your connection in Fort Pierce?" Because they lived in Port St. Lucie in the PGA. And it was just, I don't know, it seemed like 2 different worlds from the world they were living in to her mentioning Fort Pierce. And she said, "Oh, no, that's where the place that saved my life was." And I'm like, "Really? What are you talking about?" She goes, "Daughters of Naomi. They really changed my life, and they gave me a whole new beginning." And now
Wow.
she's a beautiful mama of a gorgeous young little boy, and really succeeding in life. And she does give Daughters of Naomi the credit.
Wow.
So very life changing. And even her mom gives Daughters of Naomi the credit as well. And so that's when you mentioned Daughters of Naomi when we first met. I was like, wow. And that's incredible. And this Friday at the Wellness Center, we have Ingrid from Daughters of Naomi coming with 3 girlfriends to do ion foot detoxes and having a nice afternoon of detoxing together at the Wellness Center. So it's kind of like now all of a sudden all this Daughters of Naomi energy is around me. It's absolutely incredible. So so your story is definitely empowering. But can you tell me that other than the words at that point, was there, because Carrie mentioned that there was actual home that women can go to be counseled and nurtured and loved on. And so what's the situation right now with New Dawn, Daughters of Naomi?
Sure. So when the mantle was handed over to me, now mind you, as I said, in 2001, when the seed was planted and my relationship with Sandra had just begun, I began to study underneath her, and within a few years of meeting her, her personal ministry flourished into the organization of Daughters of Naomi. I like to think I was one of the first ones, before there was an organization, I was one of the first daughters. And it's just so wild to see how full circle things have come, because, surely that was just the beginning of my healing journey, and I had just so much to work through. And so as I watched Sandra's life, we went to the same church, and she would bring all these women to the Bible studies and to Sunday morning, and it was like I always knew there was something going on, but I wasn't in the program. And she would teach. She was kind of like our pastor's partner, pretty much, the female counterpart to our pastor. So she would teach, and there were times that I just wished I could be in this house. But it turns out that Sandra started off ministering in the jail to the women,
okay.
And then found, the problem that the women were having is most of the women that were repeat offenders is that when they get out, they just go right back to the same environment.
Right.
One of the phrases in the recovery circles is changing people, places, and things. And so for people that are habitually going to jail for misdemeanors and crimes and drugs and things like that, Sandra said, these women, especially a lot of the younger women and some of the older women, they need to be reparented. They need to have a safe place so when they get out, they can first off, if your safety needs aren't met, you can't heal. You can't heal. You're in survival mode. So she identified that problem. And when she identified that problem, she actually opened up her own home and started allowing the women to come, and just has such, to this day, such a gift in being able to speak into women's lives and to mother women. And so I'll tell you, in 2017, when I ended up on the phone with Sandra, she had already moved on to another town. I was not formally connected to what she was doing. We were friends. You know, I had her on speed dial. But I began to have a stirring in my spirit for something that I couldn't put words to. And I started to inquire of different organizations that were helping women get out of the sex trafficking industry and the adult industry. And I said, you know what? I've got to call Sandra. I've got to tell her what's on my heart. I have got to just talk to her and see if she has any resources for me. And it just turns out she was in town that day. She says, sure, let's meet up for coffee. This is fall of 2017. And I sit down and tell her everything that's on my heart. And she says, well, I don't see this as any kind of coincidence. I was going to have to shut down Daughters of Naomi next month. She says, I've had many deaths in my family. I cannot continue the ministry at this time. And it has been breaking my heart thinking about not having someone to spearhead this ministry. But she had already shut down the houses at that time. Okay. And she had moved her mentorship program primarily online. So the big, it was kind of like, well, I didn't see that coming. And I have no idea what this is going to look like. And so I went home and I told my husband that she had offered to pass this torch to me. She said she felt like it was a ram in the bush moment. And I went home and my husband and I, we prayed about it. And he said, it sounds like a crazy, risky thing to do, but that it also is in line with what he also believed was my calling. So we took it and we developed a board, and we dedicated to pray for a vision and to ask God for a clear vision and to reopen a home. And the year that I heard in my spirit was 3 years. Turns out that 3-year mark was 2020 and the whole darn world shut down. So it definitely was a humbling experience. I had plans. I was ready to go, fundraising initiatives and a team.
I remember.
And we were ready to hit the ground running. And then there we were, shut in again. But that was also such a divine season of growth, and I'm very thankful for it. But
right. Well, wow. Okay, so you're at a place where you've taken the reins, you have a board, you have the vision. So what is it that you need now to get a home? Because, you and I share a similar vision. And I always pictured like a holistic wellness center. And I want to call it, but I want to have a different word, like rehabilitation for everything, not just addiction. But like you said, like when you described your life in the very beginning, just that feeling that we all get of maybe anxiety, maybe depression, you just don't feel sometimes capable of, getting through your day, or just that unsettled feeling in your just your bones, you're just something's wrong, but you just don't know what you need to help you feel better. So I pictured a place where people can come and just be loved on, and you also play music, which I think is incredible. Whenever you post one of your songs, I love listening to you. You have such a gentle, soothing voice, and just a beautiful voice, and a place where there's music, and a place where there's laughter and yoga, and you hosted a sound therapy sound bath last night. You have to tell us about that too. But to stay on the point, if I do have any listeners that have the ability or the reach to someone have the ability, what does Daughters Naomi New Dawn need to get a home back opened to help these women?
Thank you so much for asking. So what we do have is we have our team, and we have people that are ready and on standby to function such a place. And so we really would like to have a 3 to 5 bedroom home. And 3 to 5 bedroom home. At this point, for starters, it's got to be zoned where it is suitable to the neighborhood. And so that is very important.
So would it have to be like a cross between commercial and residential?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It would have to be a cross between commercial and residential. And because of the type of, now we're talking about two different things. This is the house for women that are not self-sustainable.
Okay.
Whereas, which does encompass a lot of the things that you just mentioned, music and holistic health, and it's not just for, drug and alcohol recovery. Matter of fact, that's not my specialty. My specialty is not drug and alcohol recovery. I don't get a lot of people these days that come to our organization for that reason. We outsource them. There's plenty of amazing recovery programs out there. So our house is going to specifically be for women that really are not self-sustainable, maybe emotionally distraught, a lack of resources, and what qualifies them is a genuine passion and desire and humility to grow. And so it would be anywhere from a 3 to 9 month experience where anywhere from 4 to 6 women. That's what we want to start with. Okay. We want to start with 4 to 6 women. So a 3 to 5 bedroom home that would have the ability to have a small office space and a room for a permanent resident, senior resident.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be big. We would love to be able to have a little garden there so the ladies can learn how to grow some food.
Oh, yeah, nothing like working
That's
with
right.
the soil, right? Getting
That's
your
right.
hands dirty.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, we're not, we will make something beautiful out of whatever space God provides at this time.
So maybe a property that has that house, but then
Yes.
an adjoining building that could just be daily visitors to get some of the other, like the sound bath
Yeah.
and those type of things. Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Theresa's going to talk about more of the vision, which, we all have to start with that vision, right? And then it starts to happen. So if you have any friends that you think that this subject's going to really interest them, get them on, have them listening, because we really need some help with this. And it's great. It's a really good thing. So we'll be right back, everybody. Hi, this is Joanne from Nutrition World and Wellness Center. I am really excited to introduce new guests and topics to my show every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. here on WPSL, where my listeners can call in on any topic. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to find it. We want to help you become the best version of yourself. We'll have naturopaths, coaches, and of course, Dr. Ravi will be here every month as usual. I am looking forward to sharing my years of experience with my listeners so we can enjoy this life journey together.
Visit Joanne's Nutrition World in the Kras Square, formerly known as the Arcade Building, located at US 1 and Orange Avenue, across from Fort Pierce City Hall. Open Monday through Friday from 10 to 4, Saturdays 10 to 3. Taking appointments for the Wellness Center online at joannesnutritionworld.com or call 772-464-3598.
Hey, it's Dr. Ravi at Tradition Family Chiropractic. We are dedicated to serving you and your family with integrity, compassion, and innovative care through the most advanced chiropractic care ever in chiropractic history, encouraging your health and your family's health to its maximum potential on a regular basis. Call us today at 772-345-0060 or schedule online at traditionhealth.com for your free consultation.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
We now return to Joanne's World of Nutrition. Once again, here's your host, Joanne Ziegler.
Hey everyone, thanks again for spending some time with me this morning. I have my guest Theresa Noach with us this morning, and we are talking about Daughters of Naomi, which is now known as the New Dawn, D-O-N. This is a subject that I feel like we need to pay attention to, not just for the females, but the men too. I feel most of the customers coming in these days are just not sure what's happening with their body. A lot of anxiety, sleeplessness, just feeling unsettled. And if there is a place locally that can help even a handful to feel better, why not start there, right? We have to start somewhere, and this is just definitely such a good cause.
Every great race begins at the starting line.
That is good, sir. I love that.
Sorry, just slipped out.
You know, I told my son that where it's always better to look out at the windshield and not use a rear view mirror, because the rear view mirror is so small and represents the past, and you need to look forward to the windshield. And he thought like I was like genius material, like I'm just like a prophet. He's like, wow, Mom. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me, that's all me, I didn't steal it from anybody. I'm like, but it's so funny. So of course Facebook, a post that I read like 30 seconds after I said it was that exact one. You know, it's crazy because, you know, it's like here's everything and repeats everything. So I just want to mention the Wellness Center. We still have that Detox Day special. I want everyone to take advantage of it. And this summer, we have so many openings where normally come season, it's like so packed. So you get almost a full hour massage by Marianne, who has 30 years experience. She's incredible. And then you have the infrared sauna, which has near, mid, and far infrared in a private room with wraps and towels and face cloths and water. And then you also have the Ion Foot Detox Cleanse that we've been doing for almost 20 years. We have 4 machines. So just like I have Ingrid coming this Friday with 3 of her girlfriends, you can make a whole day of it. And then we have the cutting edge from Austria PEMF device, pulse electromagnetic frequency device. So our wellness center has all these beautiful rooms, so whether you just need a couple hours to yourself to feel kind of like a new start of the day, or you want to bring in some friends, we can definitely make that happen. So only $99 per person. It's so affordable, and it's wonderful, and it's actually healing to the body. So no fluff work. You actually start having a health difference with just 2 hours. So let us know if you want to book that. We book the detox days on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturday. All right, call Matt is at the store, 464-3598.
Standing by as we speak.
Standing by. Well, I hope so. Yeah, he's probably really busy. We have like 3 people at the detox center right now.
He knows an awful lot about what you do over there.
He's learning, right? He's doing really good. People love Matt. He's, loves to listen and just has such a great ear and a shoulder to cry on. And he gives great hugs too.
And he has his own mat.
He
has Matt's mat.
Oh yeah, he hasn't heard that one before. No, this is my husband.
Oh, your husband?
Yes, this is my husband. Yep. Yeah, I know. He asked me. He's like, "Have I met Theresa?" I said, "The weirdest thing is every time she comes in, you're not here."
No.
But I believe that was intentional, so we had time to just be girls and connect and talk. So it's good. It's good. But you're gonna love him, and I know he'll love you.
Aw, thanks.
All right, so Theresa, I hope you have my listeners already fundraising for you, because it's such a great cause. But tell us what else you have going on, because you posted so much different things on Facebook. So not only, raising your kids, so you have 3, right?
Right.
Okay, but you are also hosting like little wellness retreats yourself, and now you're getting into the sound baths, which are so amazing. We listen to those kind of things before we go to bed every night on YouTube. So just tell us about other adventures you have going on, and your book.
Oh my gosh,
your book.
I know.
Oh
and
my gosh,
album.
And your album. Oh my God, really? Okay. So just start wherever you want. It's so exciting.
It's a lot, and it really is. It's a wild ride, but I said yes. I answered the call, and I'm an Aries. We're known to be really we could be impulsive on the negative side of things, so that was something I had to work through over the years, and I almost feel like Creator was like, hold on there, hold on. I think that's what COVID was kind of about. Okay, you have
Yeah.
a 3-year plan, but I've got some things to teach you still.
That's right.
You know, and I
That's
was
right.
still very much stuck in form, and there was just so much growth that I was approaching through quarantine and COVID and everything. I went through a dark night of the soul where I questioned and had to everything that I ever believed about God, myself, and the world around me. And my book is called Unraveled. The funny thing is, I knew I was going to write a book a long time ago. And I'm kind of psychic. In church, we call it prophetic, but we get all hung up on words. And I really like to disrupt things sometimes.
you do. Oh, you do.
So when I'm on Facebook and I interchange words, it's like some people get real uncomfortable. But you know what?
Yeah.
I had to get real uncomfortable with the things that I was so dogmatic about.
Yep.
The things that didn't allow me to connect with others. The things that didn't allow me to appreciate where other people were at without having to change them.
Yep.
And these were things that I really had to get down in my spirit before I could really manifest what I believe Creator wants for the new dawn at this time. The cool thing is, our founder, Sandra, she went through the same exact process.
Oh my gosh.
And when it comes to our fundamental beliefs, we have evolved in the exact same way.
Wow.
Without even, it was almost like it just happened. We didn't coach each other, but I'd call her and I'd say, "Oh my gosh, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I thought this, but I see this." And she says, "Oh no, you're not losing it." Or she'd call me and say, "You might not want to post that today because you're evolving fast
Yep.
and you are going to pull that down."
Oh yeah.
So like my ideology about women in the church, my ideology, I mean, I'm not going to get into all that, but it was stuff that I really needed to understand, because when you are mentoring women, you are going to, whether you mean to or not, you are going to, regurgitate those things in their lives, and they're vulnerable.
Yep.
And they're coming into Daughters of Naomi, regardless of whether or not they're, most of the women that we're working with right now are all women that have careers, women that have families. But like you said, they're just, everybody's dealing with their own trauma and their own, what we just went through with the pandemic, what we're still going through today. And so a lot of the women that we have are just coming in because they need peace and they need some guidance.
And hope.
Yeah.
Hope.
So my book, even though I knew I was going to write it many years ago, and I promised Grandma I'd get it done. And
Who
didn't-
is 96?
well,
correct?
that is my grandma that's still with us.
Okay.
But my other grandmother was going to write a book, and I promised her I'd do it. So I started writing this book a few times and realized I didn't know anything, and I needed to live some more. And so I started writing it again 4 years ago, and then I tell you how many times I've had to delete and repaste, and wow. So the book is called Unraveled: From Trauma to Transformation.
Love it.
And it's going to be, right now I'm having a pre-release book tour and album tour, because my album, which is halfway done, is called I Don't Want to Play Church.
I love the title. Talk about making little controversy on Facebook, at least.
Right. And that's not to say, again, the church was a lifeboat. And somebody said to me once, don't shoot the lifeboat. Don't shoot the raft.
Right.
The church experience for me was a lifeboat. Matter of fact, I still have strong support. Pastor Craig Bridgers is one of my biggest advocates. Him and his family, they have given Daughters of Naomi an office space at the Crossings Church, which you'd asked about
Love it.
earlier.
Yep.
So I have a beautiful office where I'm able to mentor women one-on-one. And what happens, they call us. They say, "I need help. I don't know where to start." I meet with them in the office. And a lot of times I discern they could benefit from seeing one of our partners, which are therapists in the area.
Okay.
We work with, one of my favorite therapists is Dr. Larthenia Howard with Anchor of Hope. And she is also working with some cutting edge technology, neurotherapy.
Love it.
So Daughters of Naomi's passion now is to assist women in developing their own vision for wholeness and empowering them to obtain the resources they need to walk that out. And so some women come to me and say, "I'm on too many meds. I don't want to be on all these meds. I'm not a doctor. So I get them in with someone that we trust, someone that I know is not going to monopolize and over-medicate them, someone that's going to hear them.
Right.
This is what I want.
Exactly.
This is where I want to go.
The chance for them to lead a different path.
Sure.
And not just a medicated path.
Not just a medicated path. And I believe that, we have, as you talk about a lot, food and nutrition is a huge pillar in our ability to be whole, healthy. I mean, I'm sure you've probably talked about it on your show, but nutritional deficiencies can also mimic psychological disorders.
And some very, even schizophrenic. Schizophrenia. Yes, definitely.
So we need all of our partners to come together. And my book, Unraveled, I am using as kind of a tool with my pre-book release tour, is called Unraveled, the Healing Arts. And what I'm doing is I'm taking artists from all over the Treasure Coast that have found healing in a form of art, be it dance or painting or poetry, whatever expression that is. And at the Art Expos, the end of September, the end of October, we will be featuring those artists. I will be mentioning my book and my album, maybe even a performance. We'll be selling tickets. They are available on Eventbrite. Unraveled, the Art of Healing, also found on Facebook. And this also aims to bring partnerships together in the holistic community, in the alternative medicine community, in the professional medical community. I'm not anti-medicine. It serves a purpose. But we just need to appreciate the fact that we all bring a different piece of this puzzle together. You bring a piece of the puzzle that I cannot bring. I bring a piece of the puzzle that you can't bring. And so rather than being intimidated by each other, if we all just realize that there is enough to go around.
There's so much to go around. There's only 1% that come to us.
Yeah.
We have 99 left, and that's why I think when we first met this morning, I was a little astonished that we are not more connected with all these people that do the sound healing, the art therapy. I mean, I could be referring these people all the time. And again, I think sometimes it's not about the competition. I think there's some unworthiness happening along those lines too, where some people feel that maybe what they bring to the table isn't enough, but it's us all as a tribe, as a team. That will be it,
That's
and
right.
like you said, every individual might need a little more Theresa and a little less Joanne, or a little more Joanne and a little less
That's right.
Theresa, or oh my gosh, but let's all work together for the common good. It's just, I don't know. And I have to tell you a quick funny story.
Yeah.
About 20 years ago, I was working with a biofeedback technician. So at that point, she wasn't my good friend. So she had this machine. I had never heard of it. And I always had an open mind since I've been doing this 38 years. I realized that I can't, kind of kick anything to the side unless I experience it firsthand, and that was my rule. I would not a food, not a therapy, until I really experience it and see if it helped.
I love that.
So I went to her house, and she had the coolest house. It was in the savannas, and she had all these beautiful trees nestled around her little cottage, and she had all this woodworking inside. And I go in there, and she puts these probes on my head, and I'm holding these rods, and I'm stepping on something, and I'm like, what is this hocus pocus? I'm like, this is crazy. And she presses some buttons, and 3 to 4 minutes later, she looks at me. And again, she never met me before, okay? She just wanted to come to my store and present this to my customers. So she said she'd give me a free session. So she looks at me, she goes, what keeps coming up in red is really just taking me, I don't know where to go with this. I said, what are you talking about? She just said, religious conflict. And I look at her, I go, your computer is saying that? Wow. And she's like, yes. And she turns the screen, and in big red, but the whole half of the computer page said religious conflict in red. And So I looked at her, I said, well, my husband at the time had just gotten back from Rome, and he had this little piece of cloth that he got blessed for me, and I had it in my right pocket. And before I headed to her, my friend that was my yoga teacher and I just loved how she carried on about her world and her life. She had given me this stone. And she told me what it did, and I put it in my other pocket. And from that moment of that morning, I was conflicted. I said, well, if God put all these beautiful crystals and stone in this world, why does it have to go against the belief system? Because I was so scared at that point in my career to ever mention in my Christianity, anything to do with crystals and healing and, just the stones especially. So when she said the computer said that, I literally was like, okay, one, I completely believe in this 110% because you just sold me, because you had no idea that was in my mind and those were in my pockets. And she became my good friend, and I went every week. And so, yes, so that's why I do connected when you just started posting different things. You got my attention big time, because I have a lot of girlfriends that are just like me. We feel that we're beautiful Christian souls, but we do love to explore all the things that this world has to offer, the sounds and the vibrations and the energy and the stones. And it's not like we're practicing rituals with chicken heads. We're just using it, right? It's just so you've always touched my heart from the first moment I met you. But these latest posts, I'm definitely on the tribe side that God put it here, and we're using it for the good, and just loving it. That's where I stand. I just love it,
I have to tell you that this story even alone is divine, because this morning, as I was meditating and praying, talking to God, there's a difference for me. Meditating is listening, sometimes even completely just emptying out myself, my ego, what I want. A lot of times we go into prayer with a list,
Oh, yeah.
Meditation is like burning the list.
Yep.
And it's like whatever you want, whatever you have, and just being connected to everything. And so I did a little bit of both this morning, and I really told myself, you know what? No, before you go on the show today, you're not going to get involved in your other tasks and work. You're just going to be emptied out. And I grabbed my little bag of crystals that I've been collecting. I have one on my neck right now.
I noticed that. Yep.
I've been collecting the crystals, and I have been, asking for my own personal understanding of them. And it's funny you bring this up, because this morning I sat down in my living room in my little yoga posture, which, by the way, my board had to go through a complete makeover because I lost every board member when I started practicing yoga.
Yes, I felt it even with you out thing. I knew you would.
Yeah.
I knew you would, and I said, but that's okay,
It's
because
okay.
she's going to be authentic.
That's right.
And she's going to help so many women now. Yeah, so.
One of my best friends is also a massage therapist, and I didn't know there were so many of us, so to speak, that we're Jesus girls. We really have found something special in our relationship with Christ and God through Christ. But again, there's been so much conflict about, especially being in the realm of natural healing and nutrition and wholeness. We really have had our eyes opened, and for me, it's having my eyes open to my own hypocrisy. It's like when my teenage girls started bringing home crystals and incense, and I started seeing all this stuff, and my knee-jerk reaction was fear. It was like Holy Spirit said to me, let's trace that fear. That's all. It's in my book. Where does that really find its home? Where is that fear rooted? Because it's not so much, we think that all of these things are to blame for things that really we're not taking ownership for. So I know my husband and I kind of laughed one night because my teenage daughter was having a typical teenage daughter day. right?
I know
all
those
know
days.
what that
Yeah.
means.
And I think my husband at the time, he's gone through his own unraveling because I took the plunge first. And so I think he said something along the lines of, "You must be those stones in her room." I said, "No, it's not the fact that we've been fighting all day and we're being jerks too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It has nothing to do with everything else. It's the
I know.
stones.
I
It's
know.
And so this morning I took my stones and I laid them out, and my subconscious said, "That's witchcraft." And then the Holy Spirit said, "Don't listen to that."
Yep.
And I said, "Well, what does this mean? I'm laying them out." And then the message that I got was that even in the Bible talks about what is not eternal will be burnt up. And what comes out of the fire? Stones, precious stones.
Yeah, beautiful stones.
Beautiful stones.
Yep.
And so as I looked at these crystals sitting in front of me, it was like the Holy Spirit said, each one represents a trial in your life in which there's a story in this stone. There is a story of overcoming. There is a story of humility. This one carries a story of, there's a different story in each one.
Yep.
And that's true when you look at even the nature of crystals.
Yep.
And how they do carry a story from within the earth. And so, it's just been so liberating to really just listen to the leading of the Holy Spirit for myself and to find my tribe.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I did identify with every step. The one thing that also makes me giggle sometimes. So I went on a path about, Lena is 12. So about 12, 13 years ago to become a yoga teacher. So I got certified with children's yoga and then did adult yoga. But when I mentioned it to some customers, the same thing, they're like, "Oh, wait, what are you doing?" Right? And so my New York sarcasm sometimes comes out a little too strong, but I said to this one customer, I said, "Okay, well, forget the yoga. So here, come here. I want you to come on." I had at that point the vegan cafe at the store because it was really big, and so I had like this carpet area. And I said, "Okay, I want you to sit here for me, crisscross applesauce." "Okay, sure." "Okay, so I want you to take a deep breath." Remember, like Jane Fonda, because she was probably in her 60s. I'm like, "Remember Jane Fonda?" I said, deep breath, right? And she's like, "Okay, great." I said, "Okay, I want you to, reach your torso, like kind of just expand it." She's like, "Okay, oh, that feels so good, right?" And I said, "Okay, I want you to come forward, but only breathe through your nose as you're doing it." "Oh, great." So we did this for like 5 minutes. I said, "How was that?" And she's like, "I feel so much better." I said, "Well, you just did yoga." And she just looked at me and she goes, and I was like, "What?" And she goes, and she goes, "Wait, that's just like stretching and exercising and breathing." I said, "Yes." I said, "Yoga is about breath. It's about breath. It's not like you have to you're not praying to some like evil,
Unless you want to.
Yeah, I said, the thing is I said, what yoga represents to me is connecting with who you are and your breath and being present at that moment. And, I don't know. I just find it sometimes, I hate to be so, but ridiculous that sometimes they group these things with such hate. Such hate.
Perhaps if we fine-tuned our terminologies. Now, I've done...
Yes, and I'm not good with it. Like, she's much better, but
Okay.
as far as my terminology go, and that's when
Instead of using the word psychic, people will be a whole lot more calmer if we use something that means the same thing. Instinct. Like the birds that fly south for the winter. How do they know where to go?
That's a
Where
good
do they
point.
get that
Instincts, yep.
information?
Yeah.
Instinct, intuition.
Intuitive, correct.
Intuitive, yeah.
Unfortunately, in my experience, that for many people that are stuck in religious fear, and that's really what it is. The hate is fear, because what happens is once a person feels that their security is threatened, that is where the hate comes from, because it's more of a self-protection, primitive instinct. So if my spiritual belief is where I find safety and what you're saying threatens that, then now I put my spikes out, right? And
Yep.
so really it's just a matter of, I don't tiptoe around anymore. I say what I want to say. But I also have compassion. I don't get into arguments with people. I don't have to defend myself.
Me either.
But
Yep.
we could absolutely, oh my gosh, we could have a whole nother show just
Oh, we
about
could.
this topic. It would be so
But
fun.
Theresa, you know what I realized?
What?
We have only a few minutes left.
Yep.
So if anyone's excited about Daughters of Naomi, the new dawn, how do they reach you?
Well, you can actually go to our website. It's daughtersofnaomi.com. You can submit a contact form. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Theresa is spelled Theresa. Noach, and that's N as in Nancy, OACH. You can find me on Facebook. I do screen my friend editions, but if you're local and you want a friend and you want to collaborate, please go ahead and send me a friend request. Follow me on Instagram, and also, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about biblical correspondences with energy work, like chakras. It's a new channel. I'd love to get some subscribers on there, and I'm going to continue talking about these taboo topics from a Christian perspective. So that is, you can find me Lady T Jesus Yogi on YouTube.
Oh, that is so cute. Lady T, say the rest.
Jesus Yogi.
Oh my God, Jesus. Yogi.
Talk about clickbait, right?
You are so funny. Oh my gosh. All right. And the name of the book is Unraveled. And the name of the album, say it again because I just love it.
I don't want to play church.
I don't want to play church. I love it. And, I always use the wanna, like,
That's
in
right,
my life.
wanna.
Like, my texts when I speak them, it's like wanna. Yeah. I'm like, should I change it to want? No, I'll keep it wanna.
What's great is that the text
yeah.
actually picks it up now. Voice
Oh, I know.
recognition knows.
It's totally. My husband always makes fun of me when I use my voice. He's like, honey, your Siri doesn't know what you're doing. I don't care. It's more fun. I love it. Oh, Theresa, it was such a pleasure. And really, listeners, I know my listeners are super awesome, open-minded, open hearts. So if this isn't your thing, but you know someone that you feel like could really connect with Theresa and her mission to really find a home for the new dawn, really helping females in need, really please reach out to her or reach out to me. I can connect you guys. It really is a good thing. I know so many people from the Daughters of Naomi group, and everyone I meet is just this most loving, giving, nurturing spirit, and as of course you. All right. Well, and check out the Wellness Center. Detox days, only $99.
That's amazing.
I mean, isn't it
That's
amazing?
amazing.
I mean, I remember the days of that with just a massage alone.
Yeah.
And I always hated rush from a massage to right in the car.
Yeah.
That way you can do the infrared sauna after, just really take in how good you feel, hydrate, and Siri was picked up on my phone. She started talking to me. She's like,
she thought
she's
you
trying to be
called her.
part. Yeah, she's trying to be part of this conversation.
I think she listens too much.
Right? But don't you hate like getting a massage and then you're like rushed back in the car in real life? No, you can go to the infrared sauna. All right, we gotta go. Everyone, love yous.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great week. Thank you, Theresa, and I'll be back next week.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World. Joanne's Nutrition World, downtown Fort Pierce, US 1 in Orange Avenue, right across from City Hall. Crass Square, formerly known as the historic arcade building. By the way, this is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, where we're sneaking up on 11 o'clock.